What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Sauna-cast Ep.3, I believe. I don't have too much to talk about. We're going to make this fast because the sauna's heating up pretty fast. It's 76 degrees. It heats up fast. So, I think what we're going to talk about is my trip to Washington, D.C. about 2 or 3 years ago. The reason I'm talking about this is because I had a friend ask me about it a couple days ago, and I thought, you know what? Might as well talk about it, right? So let's start out with I was in the 8th grade, and my teacher said that we had an opportunity to go to New York City / DC. A couple things happened. He told us this back in December, and we had until February to know for sure if we were going. So fast forward a little bit, I knew that I was going to go back in May. So we had a couple meetings, and he told me to walk, because we walked about 10 miles every day, which was quite a bit, to be honest. So the day comes, we left on a Saturday, and I believe we got back on a Friday. We were supposed to get to my school at, I think it was 5:30 in the morning, because we had a trip, or our flight was scheduled at 6:30, so it was more like 4 in the morning. Anyway, we get to the airport at about 5:30, and all of a sudden, we get informed that our flight has actually been delayed. Now, our flight was scheduled for about 6:15, and that time it was about 6 o'clock. So we're like, okay, couple more minutes, and it ended up being a couple more hours. So, a couple things to remember from this is we were supposed to fly into Washington, D.C. at, I believe, 11 o'clock, because we had a 12:30 or 1 o'clock baseball game to go to in D.C. That's when we were going to eat our dinner, everything like that. Anyway, so it's about 6:15, and they inform us that our flight is going to be delayed for a couple hours. So at that point, everybody's charging their phones. Every single plug in the airport's taken up, which kind of sucked. But luckily, I had 3 or 4 portable chargers and a few movies to watch. So time goes by. It's about 8:15, 9 o'clock. And by that time, I've already watched a movie or two, and I was tired of watching movies. And we were also pretty hungry, so everybody, beforehand, they gave us $200 cash. So everybody had enough money to buy whatever they wanted. You had a little budget for each day that you had to eat. So, about 11 o'clock, everybody goes and has lunch at the Spokane airport, and if I remember right, I think I went to Starbucks and had a little frappuccino and a little sandwich, because I knew that could hold me off. And at that time I was about maybe 105 pounds, so I didn't need much to be full. I still ate a lot though. So it's about 11:30, we get informed that we can board a brand new flight, because the flight that we were supposed to get on was out of the picture. So we board that flight, and it turns out that there's 2 to 3 people who have never flown on an airplane before, and they're in 8th grade. So on top of all the stress that my teacher had, he had now had to deal with those people, those kids. So, I don't want to sound rude or anything, but these kids were not the best kids to travel with, just because they were kind of obnoxious, to be honest. But anyway, that's besides the point. We hopped on the plane, and our first flight was to, I can't remember the city now. It's been a minute. Let me look it up real quick. But while I look it up, let me talk to you guys about what we ate there. Now, I was in this airport for, I forget what it was. I was in the airport for we had a 2-hour layover, so it's now close to 3 o'clock our time. And I eat the best Philly sandwich I've ever eaten it must have been Philadelphia. I think it was Philadelphia. I ate the best Philly sandwich I've ever eaten in the Philadelphia International Airport. And I'm not a mushroom guy, so I told them no mushroom, and they killed it. That's about all I remember from that experience in that airport. I remember I was pretty tired, and I was ready to get to Washington, D.C. So, our flight boards again, and we fly into Washington, D.C., and I should have done more studying because I had no idea what it was like, what the Smithsonian was, what any of that was. All I knew was President Trump was the president, still is right now, and I knew that I was going to see him, which we never did. But anyway, we're flying in, and I hear the pilots say, we're about 10 miles from landing, blah, 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 which is about 5 minutes until we land, right? So I'm looking all around, I'm like, where's the White House? This isn't Washington, D.C., and little I know that there's like a flight restriction of like 30 to 60 miles that you can't fly from the White House. Again, I'm a noob at this. So we fly in, I ask my friends, like, why aren't we seeing the White House? Why aren't we seeing this or that? And I landed. We drive to the motel, which was about a 30-minute drive, and our bus driver was awesome. So we fall asleep. It was 3 o'clock at night, Washington, D.C., and we had to get up at 6:15. So we got a total of 3 hours and 15 minutes, give or take. We then ate breakfast right away. I think it was like sausage and eggs, super good. And the first stop that we went to was the Holocaust Museum. And I had known nothing about the Holocaust either. I was in 8th grade and had no history really besides simple like Wyoming history where I was from. So we get to the Holocaust and our teacher says blah blah blah, explains what it's like, how it's not funny, blah blah. So we go in, and there was about 4 sections of security, and I remember getting stopped at each and every one of them because I had like a metal bracelet or something. I can't remember what it was. We get passed through security, and I remember right away seeing a big picture of a bunch of students, it looked like, and a fire, like flamethrower, and I was like, whoa, this is gonna be really weird. And I had no history, like I said. So we go through the first like little tunnel cave thing, and I see a bunch of shoes, and I'm like, why are there so many shoes? Whatever. So I should also say we got briefed before we went in. We got a little packet of different dates of births of one person, and at the end of the whole museum, we can find out whether or not he lived or died. My person ended up dying. But I have pictures of all that. I think I'll put them in. So anyway, let's see. We go through. I wish I would have done this a lot sooner because I don't remember a lot of it now. But we go through the museum, and I remember there being a lot of pictures, a lot of weird things, and I'm like, whoa. And yeah, that was about what I remember from it. I remember being a little bit nervous at first because this was not normal, and I remember it was cool. It was a cool experience. I had known a little bit about Hitler. I knew that he was a very, very bad person, but I didn't know how bad he was exactly. So, I don't even know if I could say that on YouTube. We're about to find out. But that was basically the Holocaust experience. Walking through was very crazy. I remember my teacher actually came up to me and said, look at all those shoes. He actually explained what happened, and I was like, whoa. Now the important part. They warned us about this before, and it's called Over the Rocks or Over the Bricks or whatever. And I was like, whatever, I can handle anything. And they said it's very graphic. And I remember the first picture I looked over, it was literally looked like aliens. And I was, whoa, what just happened? I was very unsure of anything at that point. So, that, of course, that night, I did a lot of freaking research. I probably watched 3 hours worth of just YouTube when I was supposed to be sleeping. And that backfired on me the next day. But that's for the next podcast. But I remember just watching videos of the Holocaust, how bad Hitler was, all this, all that. So, yeah, we actually, they had a little chamber. I gotta be very careful about what I say on YouTube, but they had a little chamber of, what happened there, and I was like, whoa. They had gas masks because of what happened. I wish I could say a little bit more, but I obviously can't. So I'll try to, I have to be careful again with the pictures I insert, everything. I know I missed last week's Sauna-cast because I had to work a little bit. But, to be honest, it's 90 degrees in here, and I don't want my computer to overheat. So, I'm going to go ahead and end the podcast right now. So, next week's Sauna-cast, I'm going to be talking about the different things that I saw in DC. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this little episode. It's only about 12 minutes long, but give or take, I hope it's a good episode. I'm still learning as this thing goes on. But make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I will see you next week for Sauna-cast episode 4. Let's do it. Thank you. Don't forget to stay fit. Peace.